Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Brothers and sisters, in solidarity with the Catholic bishops of England, Wales, and Scotland, we have been asked to read this statement concerning the bill on assisted suicide. As an addition, I will also be sharing with you the letter I wrote to our local MP and give you some more information on how we can continue to pressure members of Parliament to oppose the assisted suicide bill. As Catholic bishops in England and Wales and in Scotland, we believe that genuine compassion is under threat because of the attempts in Parliament to legalize assisted suicide. Compassion means to enter into and share the suffering of another person. It means never giving up on anyone or abandoning them. It means loving them to the natural end of their life, even if and when they struggle to find meaning and purpose. Compassion means accompanying people, especially during sickness, disability, and old age. This kind of genuine compassion is witnessed through the care and respect we show to people with terminal illnesses as they complete their journey in this life. We appeal to those who share our Catholic belief in human dignity and the sanctity of life, including fellow Christians, other religious people, and people of reason and goodwill, to join us in defending the weakest and most vulnerable who are at risk through this proposed legislation. Life is a gift to be protected, especially when threatened by sickness and death. Palliative care with expert pain relief and good human, spiritual, and pastoral support is the right and best way to care for people towards the end of their life. More adequate funding and resources for hospices and palliative care teams authentically serve and honor our shared human dignity. In the discussion around assisted suicide, so much is made of freedom of choice and autonomy. But autonomy is not absolute and must always be placed within the context of the common good of society as a whole. People who are suffering need to know they are loved and valued. They need compassionate care, not assistance to end their lives. Assisted suicide raises serious issues of principle. The time given for Parliament to consider the terminally ill adults' end-of-life bill, which will permit assisted suicide, is woefully inadequate. Although the bill indicates safeguards will be in place, the experience of other countries where assisted suicide has been introduced shows that such promised safeguards are soon forgotten in Belgium, the Netherlands, Canada, and parts of the USA. The criteria for assisted suicide has been expanded significantly in law or in practice, often to include people with mental illnesses and others who have no terminal diagnosis. It is not always easy to predict the length of time a person with a terminal illness has to live, making this bill unworkable. We are alarmed by the impact that legislation will have on the most vulnerable members of our society. The option to end life quickly can and subtly be experienced as a duty to die. Some may well feel their continued existence is a burden to others, and implicitly or explicitly be pressured into assisted suicide. This includes people who are elderly, infirm, and living with disabilities. The protection of such people is the foundation of civilized society. It is at the heart of good government. We are also concerned that this bill will fundamentally damage the relationship between medical practitioners and their patients. It will potentially lead to pressure on medical staff to recommend or facilitate such procedures. Will the right to conscientious objection for individuals and institutions be guaranteed? The impact on hospices, care homes, and those who work in social and community care cannot be underestimated. It will radically alter the ethos of trust and support which underpins our service to those in need and their families. We urge all people of goodwill to oppose this legislation and instead to advocate for better funded palliative care, which is consistently available to everyone in need in England, Wales, and Scotland. Please inform yourself and others about this issue and contact your Member of Parliament to make your opposition known, asking him or her to oppose or not support the bill. As Catholic bishops, we call upon all Catholics and invite all those who share our Christian faith to turn in prayer to God our Father. Please pray that the dignity of human life will be protected and defended. On the cross, Christ united himself to every form of human suffering, and every person who suffers in him, life is changed, not ended. He shows us in his own crucified and risen body that love is always stronger than death. I've also enclosed a letter to our local MP, part of which I will read here. If you want to read the full details, you can go to my X account or on my Facebook page, and it'll be shown there as well. Dear Mr. French, any legislation which allows for a person to deliberately kill another human being is immoral on many levels. And while supporters of this bill would call it a compassionate response to human suffering, being truly compassionate calls for all of us to enter into and share the suffering of another person. The presence of human suffering in our world is an undeniable fact, but it is also part of the complex fabric of life which helps all human beings to grow in our love and support for one another. As Pope Benedict XVI once said, "The world offers you comfort, but you were not made for comfort. You were made for greatness." The presence of suffering is a call for all of us to support those in need, and especially for our government leaders to improve palliative and end-of-life care, which is in desperate need of more support and funding. All life is a gift from God, and for us to be the arbiters of life and death would put ourselves in the place of God. And when we do that, history has shown time and time again that bad things happen. Not to mention the fact that it is the height of illogic to argue that the best way to relieve the suffering of a person is to kill them. Supporters of this bill would say that there are sufficient safeguards in place to protect people from being forced into a decision to end their life. I quite frankly do not believe them, nor should any of you. One only has to look to my home country of Canada to see that when such legislation was first proposed, the euthanasia supporters were saying exactly the same thing that supporters of this legislation are currently saying. It will only be used in extreme cases. The safeguards would be strong enough to prevent it from being abused. Healthcare workers will not be forced to end a person's life. But what do we see in Canada today? We have healthy young people suffering from depression or the worries of daily life, requesting to end their lives, and it being granted by the medical establishment. We have healthcare workers losing their jobs and care homes losing federal funding for refusing to participate in ending a person's life. Government officials and MPs in Canada are currently looking at ways to expand using medical assistance in dying for people suffering from mental health issues like Alzheimer's, where informed consent cannot be given. People facing living difficulties as a result of a disability have even been encouraged in some cases by government officials to end their lives instead. The UK should not go down this route, and the current bill provides no such guarantees that such an expansion would not be used after it is passed. You already have a number of MPs saying that the current proposed legislation does not go far enough. The right to die will very quickly become a duty to die, where you have people wanting to end their lives so as not to be a burden to their loved ones. If this legislation or anything like it is passed, the value of human life will very quickly deteriorate into how valuable people are to the state rather than to their fellow human beings, and spitting in God's face his precious gift of human life. So that's the essence of the letter, and there's basically 3 ways you can inform your MP that you do not want this legislation to be passed. First is through petitions, and petitions have their use, and politicians do pay attention to them, but they know, as well as we all do, people will sign petitions without even thinking about it. So that's not always the best way to get an MP's attention. The next step is to send a mass-produced postcard, like this one here. Assist us to live, not to die. They have statements here arguing the reasons why assisted suicide should not be allowed. They have the name of your MP. You will post it, and you send it out. Now, if you get hundreds and thousands of these cards as an MP, they start paying attention a little bit more. People actually spent money on a postage stamp, so they feel passionately about this issue. Letters are a major thing because people actually took time and effort to write a letter and either emailed it to their MP, as I did, or posted it in the post. And if MPs start getting hundreds, if not thousands of those, they start paying attention. So we need to ramp up the pressure as Catholics to defend human life from conception to natural death. Please join me in prayer that this bill, which is now approaching second reading, is defeated. And God bless you. Thanks for watching. Remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want to receive regular updates. You can follow me on Facebook or Twitter. The details are down below. And you can message me directly by the email fatherchopperallen@outlook.com. Hope to see you soon. Bye for now, and God bless.